my dear students. This is Soma Sundari. Today we are discussing about History Unit 1. The topic is Outbreak of World War I and its aftermath. In this lesson, we discuss the circumstances leading to the outbreak of the First World War and its repercussions, including the Russian Revolution and the formation of an international peace organization, namely the League of Nations. 1914 is a turning point in world history. The political and social processes that began in 1789 culminated in the First World War that broke out that year was decisively shaped the course of the 20th century. Historians therefore call us the long 19th century. This was the first industrial war that drew on the economic resources of the entire world and also affected large section of the civilian population. The political map of the world was redrawn. Three major empires lay shattered by the end of the war: Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottomans. The biggest outcome of the war was the Russian Revolution. It was a unique event as well as the first revolution of its kind in world history. For the first time, countries tried to bring about the world peace through the League of Nations. Students, now I'll explain Scramble for Colonies. Capitalist countries' ever-growing demand for markets and raw materials leading to scramble for colonies and resultant clashes amongst great powers in Europe are discussed. The aim of capitalist industry was to produce more and more. The surplus wealth thus produced was used to build more factories, railways, steamships, and other such undertakings. A revolution in the means of communication and transportation in the later half of the 19th century facilitated the process of European expansion in Africa and other places. Capitalism produced huge contrast. The contrast were extreme poverty and extreme wealth, slum and skyscraper, empire state and dependent exploited colony. A striking feature of 19th century was that Europe emerged as the dominant power, while Asia and Africa were colonized and exploited. Within Europe, England held a preeminent position as the world leader of capitalism. An ever-growing demand for markets and raw materials made the capital's powers race around the world for expanding their empire for exploitation. Rise of monopoly capitalism. After 1870, the alliance of industry and finance seeking profits in markets for goods and capital, which was an essential characteristic of imperialism, became evident in the later half of the 19th century. The old ideas of free trade collapsed. They were thrust in the USA and cartels in Germany. These powerful companies and corporations dominated governments. Monopoly capitalism is the highest and last stage of capitalism, with a replacement of free competition by the dominance of monopolies as its fundamental distinguishing feature. During 19th century, the capitalist mode of production spread through the world. During the period of transition to imperialism, the largest capitalist powers of Europe, America, made themselves master of huge colonial position by force and fraud. The ruling circles of capitalistically developed countries transformed the majority of the inhabitants of the globe into colonial slaves who hated their oppressors and struggled against them. Colonial conquest enormously extended the field for capitalist exploitation. At the same time, the degree of exploitation of the working masses steadily grew. The extreme sharpening of the contradiction of capitalism found expression in devastating imperialist wars, which carried off the cost of human lives and destroyed the vast quantity of material wealth. Children, next, I'll explain imperialism and its essential characteristic. Capitalism inevitably led to imperialism. According to Lenin, imperialism is the highest stage of capitalism. Besides being a market for surplus goods, colonies served another purpose. Large-scale mass production needed vast supplies of raw materials, rubber, oil, nitrates, sugar, cotton, tropical foodstuffs, mineral, and etc. were new raw materials which were necessary to monopoly capitalists everywhere. The need to control the sources of raw materials inevitably led to imperialism. Imperialism was not just about colonies. It became a total system, the logic of which was total militarization and total war. In Lenin's classic definition, the fundamental economic features of imperialism are the following. The concentration of production and capital developed to such a high stage that it created monopolies which play a decisive role in economic life. The merging of bank capital with industrial capital and the creation on the basis of this finance capital of a financial oligarchy. The export of capital, which has become extremely important as distinguished from the export of commodities. The formation of international capitalist monopolies which share the world among themselves and the territorial division of the world war among the greatest capitalist power is completed. Students, now I explain rivalry of great powers. Europe. In the 19th century, European powers had colonized many other countries. By 1880, most of the Asian countries had been colonized. Only Africa was left. The occupation, division and colonization of Africa took place from 1881 to 1914. The industrial achievements of Germany in the later half of the 19th century gave her a dominating position in Europe. But when Germany came on the scene, the avenues of exploitation were limited, as the World War was largely occupied by the other imperialist powers. As there was nowhere else to expand, the imperialist powers tried to grab others' position. After 1870, England, France, Belgium, Italy, and Germany joined the scramble for colonies. Clashes amongst the great powers. Despite the lead in industrial growth and the control of a vast empire, England was not satisfied. England was in competition with Germany and the United States, which were producing cheaper manufactured goods and thus capturing England's market. National rivalry led to the frequent clashes between these great powers in Asia and Africa and Europe. The imperialist urge of the period is best illustrated by the following statement of Cecil Rhodes. Who is Cecil Rhodes? The imperialist Prime Minister of South Africa. The world is nearly all parcelled out, and what there is left of it is being divided up, conquered, and colonized. To think of these stars that you see overhead at night, this vast world which we can never reach. I would annex the planets if I could. I often think of that. It makes me sad to see them so clear and yet so far. Children, next I'll explain a rise of Japan. In 1868, Japan had just undergone an internal transformation leading to an overhaul of political, economic, and social systems. As a result of the transformations, Japan rapidly changed from among the weakest nations in the world to a legitimate world power by the end of the 19th century. In Asia, Japan during this period imitating Western nations had become their equal in many respects, though the outlook of the rulers still remained feudal. Japan took a Western education and missionary. With a modern army and navy, Japan had emerged as an advanced industrialized power. In imperialistic aggressions also, Japan followed the Europe. In 1894, she forced a war on China. The crushing defeat of China by Little Japan in the Sino-Japanese War surprised the world. Despite the warning of the three great powers, Russia, Germany, and France, Japan annexed the Liaotang Peninsula with Fort Arthur. By this action, Japan proved that it was the strongest nation of the East Asia. Japan, however, in view of the pressure mounted by European powers, soon gave up its claim over the Port Arthur. Russia took advantage of this. They sent a large army to Manchuria. Japan entered into an alliance with England in 1902 and demanded that Russia withdraw troops from Manchuria. Russia underestimated Japan. In 1904, the war began between the two countries. In this Russo-Japanese War, Japan defeated Russia and got back Fort Arthur. After this war, Japan entered the charmed circle of the great powers. Strong army diplomacy of Japan. After 1905, Japan took control of Korean domestic and foreign policy. The assassination of a prominent Japanese diplomat provided the excuse in 1910 for Japan's annexation of Korea. The confusion in China following the downfall of the Manchu dynasty in 1912 provided Japan an opportunity for further expansion. Japan now demanded not only the transfer of German rights in Shandong to Japan and the recognition of Japanese hold over Manchuria, but the appointment of Japanese advisors to the Chinese government. The strong arm diplomacy arose to the hostility of both China and the European powers. Next, colonization and its fallout. In 1876, barely 10% of Africa was under European rule. By 1900, practically the whole of Africa was colonized. Britain, France, and Belgium had divided the continent between them, leaving a few areas for Germany and Italy. Britain, France, Russia, and Germany also established sphere of influence in China. Japan took over Korea and Taiwan. France conquered Indochina. The US took the Philippines from Spain, and Britain and Russia agreed to partition Iran. The first European attempt to carve out colonies in Africa resulted in bloody battles. The French had to fight a long and bitter war to conquer Algeria and Senegal. The British lost to the Zulus and to the Sudanese army. The Italian army suffered a devastating defeat at the hands of Ethiopian army at Adowa.
Colonialization and imperialism. The Industrial Revolution in Europe ushered in an era of machine-made goods and scope for markets. In order that the never-ending demand for raw materials and also markets where these goods could be sold at cheap prices, the European countries started their quest for territorial expansion. Over a period of time, this turned out to be a competition as to who could colonialize and govern better. The voyages of discovery undertaken at this time also propelled the need to occupy territory which had huge natural resources waiting to be exploited. The bonus was cheap labor also available. This was the background with which imperialism started. What does imperialism mean? Imperialism is when a mother country takes over a smaller nation or colony for political, social, and/or economic reasons. Imperialism can be broadly divided into two phases, namely Old Imperialism and New Imperialism. Basically, there was not much difference between the two, but the policy of acquiring control was slightly different. In the initial phase of imperialism, the European countries found new trade routes and established factories in the places they had trade with. Slowly, on the pretext of safeguarding these factories, they built fortresses and also gained power with the local leaders. By dividing the kings amongst themselves, they took over the territory for rule and soon became masters. This policy they adopted in North and South America, Far East, Asia, and Africa. They exploited the raw materials and cheap labor available and took it for the thriving industries. The finished goods were again sent to the colonies, as they were called, and sold there at exorbitant prices, thus ruining the local industries. In the age of new imperialism, they established vast empires and set up administrative units for the benefit of the mother nation. This was motivated by the economic needs of the Second Industrial Revolution that had taken place in Europe during this period, and had created drastic changes in many industries, and raw material for feeding the new demand became necessary. What were the efforts of this policy of colonial expansion? It had both positive and negative effects. The positive effects were new modes of transportation and communication, hitherto in the colonies, now became a reality. Good governance based on the rule of law came into existence. Setting up of judicial system also was a benefit for the colonies. On the flip side, these colonies were exploited thoroughly and caused a drain of wealth from the poorer nations. Probably the worst effect of this was causing the First World War.
Japan is basically blessed with prime conditions, and whether or not we exploit this is completely up to us. We must maintain our effort to enable Japan to become a solid ground on which these key players can exert their strength to full. Students, now we are going to end of the session. Students, you are studied 10th portion, isn't it? So you must revise properly. Today's homework, read 2 times today's topic. Okay, tomorrow I will conduct 1 mark oral test. Revise properly. Thank you children. See you next class.